All right, so ladies and gentlemen and others, welcome to the podcast. It currently is unnamed, so I don't quite know how to introduce this, but I'm here with my buddy Dino. Um,
Guys.
there he is, and my name's Tristan, and we're here to just talk movies, I guess, right, Dino?
Yes, we're going to talk about movies, talk about current events, pick movies, and just talk about everything movies, basically.
All sorts of good stuff.
Exactly.
And we're based kind of all across the globe from each
Mhm.
other as well. I'm out in Florida, and my boy Dino out there. He has the Niners cap on, but he's
I'm in Germany.
currently in Germany.
Exactly. And also, there's like a time difference, so it's almost 10:30 for me, and I think it's like 6:30 for you, or
It is 4:20 on the dot.
4:30.
So any of you listeners
Right.
out there, spark them if you got them. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're here to talk movies, talk about all sorts of cool stuff. But what have you seen in the last kind of couple weeks? You know that's
Mhm.
been cool, not cool, or just
So
anything
we're
in
just
general.
gonna, I'm just gonna go through my letterbox diary. So we're just gonna talk about the movies we watched this year. In the next episodes, upcoming episodes, we're gonna talk about the movies we saw since the last episode. But for this one, since it's the first episode, we're just gonna go through the last month. I rewatched Tick Tick Boom, which
Oh,
I
nice.
like. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it. That's the Lin Manuel Miranda, correct?
Exactly, starring Andrew Garfield, and I really love that movie. And I have like a little project involved with it, so
Uh-huh.
I just rewatched it. I felt like it. After that, I
And
watched Bullet Train for
that's
the
about the
first time.
making of Rent, correct?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a really good movie. You should check it out,
I
especially
should
if
check
you
it
like
out. I'm not a
musicals.
big musical person. Is the
Okay,
movie itself a musical?
it is, yes,
Okay. I mean, I can get
but
down for some
mhm,
like La La Land. I can get down for
mhm.
La La Land, but beyond that, it's hard for me for musicals.
It's definitely like more grounded. It's not like a spectacle musical with like lots of
Right.
dancing and
Okay.
stuff. There's also dancing, but it's just a little more mature, I'd say. Not that other musicals are mature. I just think it tackles some very mature themes.
Gotcha. I'll have to
Yeah.
check it out.
And then I watched Bullet Train for the first time.
Oh, I saw that.
You've seen
Yeah.
that, right?
Yes, I saw it like right at the end of last year. Just kind of
Mhm.
squeezed it in there at the end. What'd you think?
Yeah. I loved it. I really liked it. It's in my top 10 of last year. So
Nice.
I really liked it. It's so much fun. And I just really like Brad Pitt in it and just all the actors. It's stacked, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that movie was a lot of fun. And Brad
Yeah.
Pitt, just per usual, is always just kind of the most
Yeah.
likable person
I loved
in
his character.
movies.
I loved his character. Just the idea of him just being unlucky all the time
Yeah, it
and
was
just
super funny.
yeah, getting in all these situations. So that was a lot of
Ab-
fun.
Absolutely huge cast
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. I mean, just like let's just see who was in it. So we're not gonna talk about spoilers. Um, we have a movie that we're gonna discuss later, and we can
Hmm.
get into spoilers for that.
For
But
sure.
all the other ones, we're just gonna talk spoiler free. I mean, it's Brad Pitt, Joey King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry, just Michael Shannon. Bad Bunny is also in it. That surprised
Yeah,
me.
Sandra Bullock pops up
Sandra
for a
Bullock,
minute. I
Logan
think
Lerman,
Ryan
Zazie
Reynolds
Beetz.
pops up for a minute.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I like that.
Is was Channing Tatum in that movie as well for a couple
He was.
seconds?
He had
Okay.
such a funny bit.
Yeah, that was funny. Okay. Yeah, he came
That
in a
was,
couple times, I think.
yeah, he
He
was
was in there for a
like
little bit.
one
Yeah.
scene and then later like another joke
Yeah.
regarding that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil the
No, no
surprise,
spoilers, no spoilers. And I hope
the
that in and
joke,
of
but
itself
it
was a
was
spoiler, but yeah, it was funny.
really funny, really funny. And then I watched Mystic River for the first time.
Oh, really good movie. I have not seen that
Yeah.
in years, but that's a good movie.
I wasn't the biggest fan. I liked the first half, maybe more. I just didn't like the ending. I get what it was trying to do,
Uh-huh.
but I wasn't like the biggest fan. But it was still a really good movie. So
I gotta give that a rewatch
mhm,
one of these days. It really has been a while for me.
Yeah. I don't know why it took me so long to see it, but me and my girlfriend decided on watching it, and it sounded interesting and really was. So yeah, and I
Do
love
you
Clint Eastwood. So.
yeah, I was gonna say, do you have a favorite Clint Eastwood directed movie?
Probably Gran Torino.
Oh yeah, great
Yeah.
movie.
Yours
Great
as well,
movie.
or you have a different one?
Uh yeah, I don't know. I think Gran Torino is really good.
Mhm.
Um Obviously Mystic River and Unforgiven are really good too, but I really liked High Plains Drifter. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen that one. No.
It's like, I think it was the first Western he directed
Mhm.
himself. That
I will
was like
check that out.
sometime in the 70s. That movie's really,
Mhm.
really dope. And it's kind of like in a weird way, kind of like a horror, like a Western horror kind of thing.
Okay.
It's cool. Very cool.
Sounds really interesting. I'm gonna put that on the watch list.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Oh yeah, and he also did American Sniper, which I also
Yeah.
really like.
I've
I
actually,
forgot he did that.
I've never seen American Sniper
You
actually.
haven't? It,
No.
it's I liked it. I know a lot of people have problems with it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed it as a movie.
I've seen the scene with the fake plastic baby.
Baby,
I love
that's
the American Sniper baby.
everyone talks about it. It's funny, but I liked it, so it's a great movie.
I'll check it out. It's one of those, I feel like there's a handful of like super like popular movies where I'm like, I've
Mhm.
never seen, not
Yeah.
even a set, like Avatar's another one. I've never seen Avatar. And at this point I kind of want to just like keep it that way. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
just like I'm kind
I
of,
understand. I understand
yeah.
because it's like surprising because like almost everyone has seen it, so it's like a thing not having seen it.
Exactly. Yeah. Um yeah, shout out to James Cameron and all that, but yeah, I'm not familiar.
Mhm. I really like it. Uh, rewatched it, but also watched it for the first time because I don't know, I've never fully seen it
Uh-huh.
because I've seen like clips of it and like scenes because my mom, it's one of her favorite movies. So I just remember like just being there and like seeing certain scenes, but I forgot a lot. So it was like almost like watching it for the first time again,
Uh-huh.
except for certain scenes. So I rewatched it before the second one. And I really like it. I think it holds up. And I don't know, I really like the second one as well. So
You did like the second one?
I
Which one did you
liked it a
like
lot.
better?
I actually like the second one more
Really?
because I think it's like just everything he puts in, like creatively, like how much he just thought of and like how much he did for that movie. I think it's really unique, and I think it's gonna like shape the next couple of years of movie making, like with the technology which he did with the first one as well. And
Hmm.
I'm actually really excited for the next couple Avatar movies.
I was gonna say, you're in luck because he's dropping like seven more
More,
Avatar
yes,
movies.
but I'm excited. I know
Let's give a round of applause for Tim there.
with James Cameron, especially with making like he made so much money
Oh my
in
goodness
like the
gracious.
last decade. So props to him.
Yeah, trying to make that James Cameron money 2023.
Exactly. I mean, he has three movies in like the top five most grossing movies. I think three of them are his. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Avatar, Titanic,
and
is
Avatar
that
too.
Avatar 2? Yeah.
It's I think it's like top five now.
Yeah.
So
He knows what he's doing, I'll say that much. I think he's got
it's making
potential.
bank. The next thing I saw was Red Rocket.
Hell yes.
Yeah, which we
Great
talked
movie.
about. We did like a I don't know thing where we just talked in the camera, and we talked a little bit about Red Rocket, and I really loved it. So it was really great. I love Sean Baker in general,
Yeah,
and I think it's one of his best works.
I agree. I think when I saw it, I hadn't seen everything of his, and I still haven't seen
Mhm.
everything. I think there's one or two of the very early ones I haven't seen.
Mhm.
But I think Criterion actually just released his first movie called Takeout, which I'll have to check that one out. I have not seen it, but
I haven't
I
seen
think
that.
Red Rocket. After seeing it, I was like, I think this is like my favorite
Mhm.
movie of his. And then after I saw Red Rocket, I really wanted to check out some of the ones I hadn't seen. I hadn't seen
Mhm.
Starlet,
Starlet? Yeah.
which I saw that and I was like, this movie is unbelievable. That movie's so good. And
I
then
love that.
Tangerine as well, which I didn't like as much, but I still liked it a lot.
I haven't seen
Um,
Tangerine yet, actually.
Tangerine is cool. It's. I mean, I'm
Okay.
sure you've heard the whole gimmick. It was shot on iPhone,
Yeah, I heard it.
the whole thing. So that's pretty cool. But it was
Mhm.
just, it wasn't completely my bag. It was really funny, but sometimes it
Mhm.
was just like I was like, this is just a little too much for me.
Yeah,
But it was funny. Good movie.
nice. Starlet is also great, and of course, the Florida Project
Florida
is
Project, of
so good,
course,
so
of
good.
course. Shot a music video
Um,
at that motel. Not to toot my own horn
ye-
here.
I remember
That is
you
right.
posted about that. That was great. Then I watched Ransom. I don't know if you know that
Ransom.
movie.
No, what's Ransom?
It's by Ron Howard, and stars Mel Gibson.
Oh yes,
Yeah, it's like
yes,
1996. So
yes.
seen that for the first time, where his son gets kidnapped and he has to give the ransom, but he flips like the switch and puts a bounty on the guys that kidnapped his kid.
Oh,
So the premise sounded really interesting, and I saw it on Netflix and just read the synopsis and was really intrigued. Unfortunately, I didn't like it that much.
really?
Yeah, I don't know what it
Why?
is. Like, yeah,
Why?
something about Ron Howard movies. I just can't connect with them.
Is it because he's got all that cheese all over it? It's just so
Eh,
kind of cheesy and corny a little bit.
maybe a little bit. Like, I don't know. Like, I saw Splash. I liked Splash. Splash is one of his like only movies I really like. I liked Solo, the Han Solo movie, but he took
Oh, that's right.
over directing. But I don't know. I have to see more of his movies. I haven't seen a lot of them, but so far it's been kind of hit or miss for me personally. I think he's a good filmmaker. I don't know. I just didn't like Ransom that much.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been meaning to see that one for a while. I can picture the poster in my head right now. I like that
Mhm.
poster. It's just Mel Gibson. He's kind of just
Exactly.
standing there
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's well made, and maybe you like it. I hope you like it more.
I'll check it out. It seems like it's my kind of movie too. So I'll
Mhm.
definitely check it out. But yeah, Ron Howard's kind of got that Spielberg-ness to him where sometimes
Mhm.
it's just sometimes on it, like he just adds a little bit too much cheese on top where I'm
Mhm.
like, I wish he just shaved that off and
Mhm. But it's
you
funny
know.
because I love Spielberg. He's one of my
Yeah,
favorite directors. So
and
I don't
Spielberg
know.
does a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's still a good filmmaker, and I want to check out more of his movies, and I hope I like the other ones more.
Yeah. And one of my favorite child actors of all time, Ron Howard.
Hmm. Nice. Yeah, he was in American Graffiti. I remember.
Yes, and then when he was
That's where.
even younger, he
Mhm.
started off on this American TV show called The Andy Griffith Show from
Mhm.
like the 50s or yeah, like late 50s into the 60s,
Mhm.
where he played Andy Griffith's son, Opie.
Okay, I haven't seen that
Yeah,
show.
great show, very funny.
Okay.
It has a Don Knotts in it too. It's very
Mhm.
funny. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you
Is it?
seen
Is
Have you seen Full Metal Jacket?
I've seen. Yes, I've seen it.
You know how I forget his name, but the Arlie Ermy, like the general guy who keeps calling Vincent D'Onofrio like Gomer
Mhm.
Pyle.
Yeah.
That's taken from Andy, that show. Gomer Pyle was like this like dumb cop in the
Okay.
town.
I didn't
And
know
his name
that.
was Gomer Pyle. Yeah.
Mhm. So it was like a homage to it, or.
It was like, yeah, because it was like a popular character like in America. So I think he was kind of and during that time period, like of
Mhm.
the
Okay.
movie, like for Vietnam. So it was just like I
Mhm.
think if you saw someone who was kind of like a mouth breather, kind of a dummy, like you would just call him Gomer Pyle, I think.
Okay. I think it's like more of a thing over there because not really here in
For
Europe. So
sure an
yeah.
American thing. I can't imagine that
Mhm.
line maybe translated as well to overseas, maybe.
Mhm. What's next? So I saw the menu,
Good
which
movie.
I loved it so much. It was also my top 10.
Yes.
It was like made for me because I love movies about cooking, because
Mm.
I love cooking. It's like a big hobby of mine. And so it was like more about, you've seen it, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. It's more about the pretentious side of cooking.
For
That's what I
sure.
really liked about it. And it was just so much fun.
I like that there's like a thing kind of going on right now in like movies where it's kind of this like like satire of like the rich sort of thing, like you
Mhm.
see with like White Lotus.
Mhm.
The Menu is kind of like that as
Yep.
well. You got Triangle of Sadness.
Mhm.
Um,
Ready or
and
Not
then
is another one.
exactly, and it's
Mhm.
just like, and another movie as well, but it's a recent one I saw, so I'll save it for
Mhm.
later. But yeah,
Okay.
it's just it's like a big thing now where a lot of
Mhm.
these filmmakers are like talking about
Yep.
those types of movies,
Mhm.
or those types of things rather.
Yep. It's big because I also
Yeah,
saw like for the Menu, like the reviews, everyone's saying like eat the rich and things like that. So it's
yeah,
definitely like a popular thing right now.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
in the ethos. It's in the air.
Mhm. Yeah. Then I saw Men,
Oh,
the
what'd you think of that?
the Alex Garland one. It's the first Alex Garland thing I didn't like that much, to be honest.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah,
little too out there for me personally.
yeah.
Yeah.
I I mean, to put it less nice, I thought Men was a crock of shit, man. I hated that movie.
Okay.
I hated that movie so much.
I understand.
It was
It's just
just
mhm,
I feel like A24, like when I saw that, I'm like, I feel like A24 hit like almost like Kanye level where they realize like they can just do anything and people
mhm.
will still go do it. And then I watched it, I'm like, okay, you literally think you can do anything because this is bullshit. This movie sucks.
Yeah. I also have to say I mean, I understood like the premise of it. But
Yeah,
some of the themes, like some were just like so obvious that you're just like,
for
what?
sure.
And some were a bit too much for me. So I
Yeah.
didn't understand the whole movie, but to be honest, I didn't want to understand the whole movie. So
I think like you said, I think this is the first one of Alex Garland's that just didn't
mhm,
really like hit. I mean, even Annihilation, which a lot of people love, I liked it a lot,
mhm,
but I love Ex Machina
mhm.
way more than Annihilation personally. I know you're a big fan of Annihilation, right?
One of my favorite movies. I
Yeah,
love Ex Machina, but I love Annihilation a little bit more. And
yeah.
I just love sci-fi horror, so it was so good.
I need to. I feel like on a second watch, it may
Mhm,
be maybe even better.
definitely.
Which I just found out recently as a Floridian myself. I was like looking up something about Florida movies, and Annihilation
Mhm.
kept popping up.
Yeah.
I was like, Annihilation, and they're like, I guess
Mhm.
allegedly it takes place like in the Panhandle or something in
Yeah.
Florida.
In
I
Florida.
didn't put that together at all
Mhm.
when I was watching it. But one thing I will say that was super dope about Annihilation was that bear monster
Mhm.
thing, like that the
Yep.
design of that with its face and like all the other people, like that
Mhm.
shit was dope.
It was creepy. Like it
Super
imitating
creepy.
the human scream. It was so creepy.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Mhm. And I
Great
just love
scene.
that movie. I've read the books. The It's based on a book or like a book series,
Uh-huh.
and I just love the books, and it's such a great movie. I love everything about it, and yeah,
Yeah, I got it. Oh, so did you read it first or did you see it first and then
I've seen it first, and I really liked it. I just wanted to know more, and then I saw it's based on a movie, and then I bought the books. There's three books, but only the first one. They kind of took themes out of all of them and put them together, but it's mostly just the first book.
how many books are there?
Yeah. Can you still hear me? I think there's.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you again. I think there was
Oh,
like an
sorry. Yeah, no,
audio issue.
I was asking how many books are there?
I think there's only three. So I have three. There might be more, but I think it's just three. They're
Okay.
called the Southern Reach trilogy.
Okay. I'll have to check
Yeah.
that out.
And then I rewatched The Batman.
Hell yeah. Great movie.
So great because my girlfriend hasn't seen it, so I wanted to show it to her. And it was my first time rewatching it since I saw it in theaters last year, last March. I think it came out. It's just as great as the first time, so it's so good.
Yeah, that one was definitely in my top 10
Mhm.
of last year
Same.
for sure.
Same. And then I watched Shrek Forever After, because my girlfriend's favorite movie or movies is Shrek and the Shrek movies. and
Hmm.
I hadn't seen the fourth one yet. So she wanted to show that one to me, and I really liked it. It was a great movie. I love all the Shrek movies. I hadn't seen
Hmm.
the first one. Like, I've saw the second and the third one, but I've never seen the first one,
Uh-huh.
which is weird. But I don't know, and I never saw it. And she showed it to me like last year, I think in December. And then we rewatched all of them, and then Shrek Forever After for the first time. And they're doing a fifth one. I don't know if you heard, but
I did not hear.
apparently like at the end of Puss in Boots 2, there's like a thing apparently. So yeah,
Was this Puss in Boots movie? This was a sequel?
I think so. So that's actually because I watched Babylon, which we're going to talk about later. And
Uh-huh.
then the movie after that was actually Puss in Boots, the first one, because I hadn't seen that one. So I
Okay.
watched that one, which I also really liked. I actually like it. So I would put like Shrek 2 as my first one in the Shrek
The whole
series,
Shrek
the
universe.
whole Shrekiverse,
Shrek
uh,
CU.
Shrek CU, and then Puss in Boots actually as a second one. So that's how much I liked
Okay.
it. It was great. I haven't seen the second one yet, but we watched it because I'm preparing myself to watch the second one like on because we're both in the Filmstagram uh, community, and like
Uh-huh.
everyone's talking about Puss in Boots too. So
Everyone's loving it. I feel kind of
yeah,
left out. I feel like I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines,
same.
just kind of watching everyone have fun with it.
Same. That's why I watched the first one, loved it, and I can't wait to watch the second one.
And where'd you see that? You see that one streaming, or where'd you watch?
On Netflix.
Netflix.
They're on
Okay.
Netflix for us. Yeah, exactly. And then I also watched some of the Marvel movies because I don't know. I know you're not like too big into Marvel, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is coming out,
That's
and
right.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is also coming out this year. And I'm seeing them with my girlfriend in the cinema, and she hasn't seen all the Marvel movies. So I showed her Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, and we watched Ant-Man 1. And today we watched Avengers Infinity War, which you also hadn't seen. So I'm just showing some of the movies here to her so she doesn't feel just left out at the cinema and just understand what's going on in like the greater picture.
Of
Um,
course.
exactly. And that was my watches for this year so far.
Nice.
Mhm.
Okay.
Not a lot,
Cool.
but some good stuff.
Yeah. It seems like it's been a good kind of
Mhm.
last few months of
Yeah.
movies for you.
Hmm. So want to
Okay.
get into yours?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll just go over, I guess, just a couple
Mhm.
that I've seen recently. I just saw the new M Night movie last night, The Knock at the
Knock at the
Cabin.
Cabin. Did you watch
Yes,
it?
I saw it last night.
Did you like it?
Um, I liked it. I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't
I'm
love it.
tired.
But it was good.
Okay.
Um, it was more in line with something like, speaking of Mel Gibson, it was more in line with kind of like Signs ish.
Hmm.
Like M Night was kind of channeling that a little bit more,
Hmm.
um, which was cool.
Hmm.
Which I actually just put on earlier today because I was like like I was just thinking about it. I was like,
Hmm.
I don't think like I was like I always thought I had seen Signs because it's just so synonymous with like pop
Yeah.
culture, and I think I've caught it on TV like in like a few minute increments so many times that I
Hmm.
just think I just like assumed that I had seen it. But I was like, it's on HBO Max, so I'm like, I'm just gonna throw it on, just like after seeing Knock at the Cabin yesterday. I'm gonna throw it on, and
Hmm.
after like halfway through, I was like, I actually don't know that I've ever seen this movie ever. Actually, it was
Same
one of
actually.
those. Yeah, I
Yeah.
always just thought that I did, but
Hmm.
um, yeah, good movie. Signs is a good movie.
Hmm.
I think M Night what he's really good at is like writing these like really good like like plots and like ideas and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's always just the dialogue is like when I actually am like listening. It's just like exposition dumps
Yeah.
like anytime someone opens their mouth. Um, but it was a little bit better with Knock at the Cabin because he had a couple other
Okay.
writers with him, so it did help out. Good
Mhm.
movie. definitely check it out. I always recommend every movie because even if
Mhm.
I don't like it, I think everyone, someone might. So definitely check
Exactly.
it out
Mhm.
for some real M Night,
I want
type
to.
stuff.
I'm
Yeah,
really excited for it because I love M Night because he just comes up with such crazy concepts,
yeah,
and I think he executes them well. Like you said, sometimes the dialogue isn't that well, but still, all in all, I just enjoy his movies a lot and just
What'd you think
crazy.
of his last movie, Old?
Old, I watched it and I actually liked it. Some of the dialogue again
Yeah,
was questionable, some of the acting as well, but I don't know. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people hated it or like didn't like it, but
yeah.
I had fun with it. So yeah. Did you like it?
I didn't care for it very much.
Okay.
I do have a very vivid memory, and I'm pretty sure this is in my letterboxed review of it.
Hmm.
But prior to that movie, I went to Jimmy John's, which is a local. I don't know if there's Jimmy John's in Europe at all. They might have expanded to a
No.
couple places, but it's a sandwich shop here.
Hmm.
You could just get turkey, roast beef, salami, whatever. Any of the
Yeah.
U.S. listeners will know what I'm talking about. But I stuffed an entire large Jimmy John's sub, like 12 inches, in my pants and smuggled it into the movie theaters.
No way.
Ate that during the movie, and I think my exact letterbox review was that doing that was more exciting than the
In
90
the
minutes
movie.
of Bolt, which I think I still stand by. But
How did you get it in?
what's that?
How did you get the sandwich in?
I just shoved it down there and kind of just walked like I, had a
Mhm.
big hog, I guess. Uh, so yeah, I don't know how I
Well,
snuck that in, but yeah, I did. So that was very exciting. But yeah, I thought Old was okay.
yeah. Yeah, it's not
Um,
nothing special, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
yeah, which I guess he adapted that as well. I think that was like a comic book or some type of graphic novel, Old, I
Was
think,
it? I
as
didn't know
well.
that.
So that was like an adaptation of some kind. So I'd be interested in seeing the original, like reading it in its original format before it got all M nighted, you
Mhm.
know.
No, I didn't.
Um, but yeah, so I saw that last night.
Mhm.
Checked out a other couple of movies, but one movie that I really do want to talk about that I also saw in theaters last week, actually, I think a week ago today,
Mhm.
was the new Brandon Cronenberg movie, Infinity Pool. I think we spoke
Yes,
last Thursday,
we
and
did.
I was saying, hey, I think I'm going to go see it tomorrow or tonight or
Mhm.
whenever. Um, that movie, I mean, it's going to be hard to take that one down as my favorite of the year, to be honest.
Okay. High praise.
That movie is super, super dope.
Mhm.
And I just really love Brandon Cronenberg a lot.
Mhm.
And for those who are listening and might not be familiar, that's the son of David Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Um, and Brandon, this is his third movie. He put out a movie with Caleb Landry Jones in 2012 called Antiviral.
Mhm.
And then he
Which
put
we
out a
also talked
movie,
about last
yeah,
time.
yeah, and then we put out a movie with Andrea Riseborough and Christopher Abbott called Possessor in
Mhm.
like 2020. So there was a big gap between his first movie and his second.
Mhm.
Possessor is like a certified like 5-star movie for me. That
Yeah.
movie it fucking rips.
You told me
And
last time to watch it, and as soon as I
yes,
find it streaming or buying, I'm totally.
yes,
It's not
I think you
available
still
right
have
now,
some
but
time over there
yeah.
for it to get to you guys still, which is crazy. But
I
Possessor
think
is
with
very badass. Yeah.
mhm. I think with the buzz of that Infinity Pool is getting,
hmm
it
I think
might just drop sooner, and maybe we'll get Infinity Pool as well, which is not playing
Yeah,
for
I
over here.
I I think, and I think last time we talked about this, I was kind of saying um that like I don't know that it will do too well or that
Mhm.
it will get there, but I actually think I think it might do better than maybe I thought it
It is
did,
doing well right
and
now.
it's doing pretty damn
It
well. Yeah.
yes, I
So
saw like
that's super
some news
cool.
about it, and it's doing good money.
I think having Mia Goth right now, especially during this like Mia Goth renaissance,
Yeah,
is really helping that movie a lot, and she's
definitely.
fantastic in it. She's very, very
And
good.
isn't is it Alexander or
Yes, Alexander
Alexander
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, which is
Yeah, he's
also like
incredible, dude. He
really
is
popular?
so good.
Yeah.
Um, and there's so many moments in this movie where he looks like just like his dad. Like there's
Mhm.
certain points where he looks so worn in his face, and I'm like, he looks just like Stellan, and
Mhm.
it's really kind of crazy to look at. But I like Alexander Skarsgård a lot, and I was looking at a lot of like press junkets and whatnot afterwards,
It's
like
so
that they
funny.
all did, and he's so cool and so funny. I think he might be my
Yeah.
favorite Skarsgård.
Mhm. It also, like you said, like the movie is coming out at a perfect time because of Mia Goth just being
Yeah,
everywhere. Like everyone loves her, and Bill Skarsgård, Alexander. I'm sorry, I
yeah,
always
yeah.
confuse it. He's also like really popular right now, so I think it's the perfect time to release it, and I think the movie is going to benefit from that a lot, and is benefiting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Skarsgård, he's about to, and he was talking about in a lot of these interviews, he's about to direct his own
No
debut
way.
features coming up.
I didn't know that.
Florence Pugh is starring in it alongside
Mhm.
him.
Do you know
It's
what
called,
it's about? Or?
yeah, it's called The Pack. I think it's here. I just pulled it up to get
Mhm.
exactly, but it's follows a group of documentarians who brave the remote wilderness of Alaska in an effort to save a nearly extinct species of wolves.
Okay, sounds
But I
interesting.
think I think what it's doing, I think it might be doing. Did you watch that show? Oh shoot, on Showtime with Juliette Lewis, the soccer players, Yellow Jackets.
I haven't. I want to watch it, but I haven't seen it yet.
I think they might be doing something like that, where it's like it's going back and forth between the present and the past, like when it actually took place. So you
Okay.
kind of see the tension now. And I think that's kind of what they're doing based on
Mhm.
the descriptions I've read of this movie. I think
Okay.
they might be doing something similar to that, um, which is
I'm
pretty
excited.
cool. But I'm very excited for Alexander Skarsgård, and I'm very
Mhm.
happy for that movie.
Mhm.
That movie was super dope.
I
So
really
I
need to watch Brandon Cronenberg's movie
yes,
because we talked about
movies.
it last time and I haven't seen any of them yet. I
And
just after what you told
antiviral
me.
might be available for you at this point, maybe.
Mhm. I'll,
That movie is
I'll check
also
it out.
very good. That's his first one, but it's a little bit, it's very effective because the way that they shoot it is very just like clinical. It's everything is so white, like everything is white, every scene is white.
Mhm. Okay.
So it made me feel uncomfortable, especially with Caleb Landry Jones, like how pale and
Mhm.
sickly he always looks. So it
Yeah.
made me feel weird, but it's very effective and a very interesting
Okay.
story. But yeah, so I
I'll definitely
saw
check it out.
yeah, so I saw Infinity Pool. I really enjoyed that.
Mhm.
Um, and I won't go through too many because I've seen so much. So I'll only mention one other.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to mention two others. One really
Mhm.
quick, as a quick sidebar. There is in Tampa, Florida. There's this little micro cinema. It's called the Screen Door Micro Cinema. That's in Ybor City, and it fits maybe about 35 to 40 people in it. It's a very
Mhm.
small little theater, and it's like on the upstairs in this like small little space. And I saw in Tampa, there's this thing called Gasparilla, which is this like parade. It's kind of like a Mardi Gras that we have here, and it's all pirate themed. So this was the night before
Mhm.
that, and this theater was screening a movie by a filmmaker named Jean Rollin,
Mhm.
a French dude, and he made this movie called The Demoniacs, or
Okay.
Les Demoniacs. And I've never seen anything like this before, Dino. It was
Mhm.
I don't really quite know how to describe it. I don't know if I'm trying to if I'm making it sound good right now because it's not. I don't mean that in like a
Okay.
good way.
Okay.
It's the basic log line of it is there's like this gang of pirates. You don't really
Mhm.
get that they're pirates. They're kind of just people on ship, and they like they wreck on some island, and they find two survivors, two ladies, and then they just rape them for like an hour straight, and then their ghosts come back, so then they rape the ghosts, and the ghosts rape them, and a lot of women just taking their shirts off and rubbing their boobs, and everyone's just getting raped for an hour and a half, all in French. And I took my lady to go see this, and she was
Mhm.
not thrilled on this. She was not stoked about it at all.
I wonder
Uh,
why.
yes, naturally, she was not very hype on it, but
Mhm.
yeah. So I just wanted to shout that out. The Demoniacs.
Mhm.
This movie is very weird, and looking it up, no, none of the actors really ever acted in anything else other
Okay.
than it. And I think this director is pretty well known for maybe some like French horror at the time. A lot of like vampire
Mhm.
movies, I think, is kind of like was his bag a little bit.
Okay.
Um, but just very over the top with the nudity and stuff like that. Um, which I'm all for if done, right or for the right purpose. But this really just felt like a 90-minute porno, but it was
Mm,
just all non-consensual porno. It was very uncomfortable to watch.
I
Um,
can imagine, yeah.
so that's just a quick sidebar of something I did see that kind of
Well,
traumatized me.
shout out
However,
to whatever that guy was thinking, making that
yeah,
movie.
yeah, that everyone on that, it was kind of like watching like a Yodorowski thing where it's like everyone on this was on drugs, like making
Mhm.
this. Which actually, there's one funny thing I'm going to add on to that movie. Towards the end, for the final conclusive rape scene of the film, you see these guys are like having sex with this ghost lady, and you see like on the beach, and in the background of the shot, you see like just every like normal day people in France at the beach, like kids are running around playing, like clearly they just went out to some beach to film this,
What
and you
the fuck?
see all these kids and families literally just sitting in the background of the final scene, and they don't cut away or like acknowledge it at all.
That's
uh,
actually crazy.
it's very funny. um,
Okay.
but anyway, okay, one last thing that I'll mention, then we can get into our movie, is one movie that I
Mhm.
did see that really I cannot recommend enough, was called They Shoot Horses, Don't They? It's by
Okay.
Sidney Pollack. It came out in '69, and this is kind of like the first like serious movie that Jane Fonda did.
Hmm.
I think before then she was kind of just, pretty face, nice body, Jane Fonda, Barbarella type of,
Hmm.
sexploitation sort of romp. But this movie is really, really, really amazing. It takes place in the Great Depression in the U.S.
Hmm.
So it's like in the late 20s, early 30s ish, and it's this MC is like hosting this like dance marathon that offers like a $1,500 cash prize, which I think, like with inflation and whatnot, I'm assuming has to be maybe at least 40 to $50,000, maybe,
Hmm.
like today. So
Okay.
a decent amount of money, but these people would dance and they can't stop. The rule is that every 2 hours they get like a 5 to 10 minute break or something like that.
Hmm.
And if you stop dancing or whatever, then you get kicked out. And then randomly they would just have these bursts where they just make you sprint. And if you like passed out, you'd be kicked out. And
Okay.
upon research, this was a thing that actually happened like in the US. They would host these marathons, and they would go on for like 20, 30, 40, 45 days
No way.
long.
Days.
Days, 20
I
to
thought
30
you
to
were
40
gonna say
days.
hours.
No, days, like
Okay.
these are months of their like that they are taking doing this, these people. And you see that like the people who are doing this clearly very much need the money, so they're
Hmm.
willing to put themselves through this like mental and physical
Yeah.
torture for like 50 days or whatever, just at a chance of winning $1,500. But this movie is fantastic, dude. I cannot
Mhm.
recommend this enough. Add this to your watch list on
I
Letterbox.
literally did, like I just did as
This
you told me.
movie is
Sounds great.
very, very, very good. Great
Okay.
cast. Bruce Dern is in it as well.
Mhm.
Um, Gig Young as well. A lot of old school dudes that are really great. But Jane Fonda, this might be one of the all-time Jane Fonda performances,
Okay.
and I think it's popular because it holds the record for the movie with the most Academy Award nominations. It had 9, but
Yeah.
was not nominated for Best Picture.
That's crazy.
Very odd, very weird. Um, but yeah, I cannot recommend that movie enough.
Mhm.
Great, great film, and I just wanted to end it with that movie.
Okay.
Highest of recommends.
I'm gonna check it out. It should be available to me, so I'm definitely
Awesome,
gonna look into that.
awesome.
Nice. So also like good couple of weeks for you. So
Definitely, yeah. Oh, I'm not mad with what I've seen, both new and
mhm,
old stuff that I've been able to check out.
nice. Okay. So before we talk about Babylon,
Hmm.
we can also do something more like a little relevant because the new DC movie slate came out. And I know you aren't too big into comic book movies. You watch them, but like you're not really familiar with the things coming out, right?
Yeah, I'm not really tapped into
Following.
that world
Mhm.
very much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think it's fun just to go over the movies announced and just maybe get like your reaction, what you think about them, and
Yeah,
just
let me hear.
quickly
Well,
go over that.
I'm gonna close my door real quick. So I'm still
Mhm.
listening. Go ahead.
Okay. So James Gunn is actually in charge of the DC EU, whatever they're gonna call it now.
Hmm.
Um, James Gunn, obviously.
Yes.
And he just announced a couple of days ago the first part of the first phase of DC movies. So they're gonna redo most of it and just try to get a continuity going and include the TV shows as well as video games and set everything in one universe, basically.
Interesting. So the video games will be connected with the movies and television.
That's what he announced. There's also going to be Elseworld stories. So the Batman is continuing in its own universe,
Oh,
um,
interesting. Okay.
with the Batman 2 announced, which is just called the Batman Part 2, the
Hmm.
official title. And Joker, obviously, the second one,
The
the
Folly, whatever.
Folie à Deux,
Yeah.
exactly, which I'm also really excited about.
Do we know anything about the Batman Part Two yet?
Uh,
In
just
terms
that,
of what to expect or who to expect?
no, Matt Reeves
Okay.
is writing it right now,
Okay.
but we don't know anything.
Okay.
And sometimes the title would give something away, but it's just the Batman Part 2, so we don't know anything.
So at least we know that Batman will be in it.
Exactly, which is a surprise, right? Like, who would have
Hmm.
thought? And so he announced the first phase, which is part of first phase, which is called Gods and Monsters, I believe.
Okay.
That's the title. They're gonna kick it off with a Superman movie, a new one, without Henry Cavill, unfortunately, but hopefully they'll find someone good. Called Superman Legacy.
Interesting.
Um,
Who do you think
gonna
would be
be
a who do you think would be a good Superman?
That's a tough one. That's
If they come
because
to
I
you, they say
really
you can
like.
cast whoever you want as Superman. Who you casting?
Okay, because I really like Henry Cavill,
Hmm.
and I wish we would have seen more of him, because although we got like 3 movies with him, I just don't think it's enough. And I think we should just give him another chance. But who would be a good Superman? I don't know. I don't know. Do you have someone in mind? Because my mind is just like,
No, I was just trying to think as well of like someone who would be good. Because I think of some people who would be good as superheroes, but I
mhm,
think being able to play Superman is like a different kind of
it really is. You
thing.
have to get someone special for that.
Yeah, because I was thinking of Logan Marshall Green.
Um, let me look him up.
Look him up.
Maybe.
He's like a Tom Hardy kind of clone.
Mm, mm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know him.
I think not for Superman, but there's something about him where I'm like, I could see him playing like a superhero of
Yeah,
some kind. Maybe even like a Batman
same,
or something. Like I could see him doing something like that.
same. He looks a lot like Tom Hardy. It's
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of Tom Hardy clones out there.
yeah,
Aaron Taylor Johnson, I
Taylor
think, is
Johnson.
another kind
Hmm.
of TH clone.
Hmm.
THC, Tom Hardy clone.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm looking at like fan castings, but I don't know. Like, it's tough. I think they really need to get. I just think like don't even get someone who's like really popular or famous right now. I think they should maybe go with someone who isn't like, who doesn't scream Superman. Like, you don't think of that actor the first thing. So maybe someone relatively unknown, or like who's only done smaller roles but can take on that role.
Hmm.
I think that would be the best thing, because like it's hard to follow up Henry Cavill, I think. So
He's quite the presence for sure.
he is, and I think you look at him and you're like, oh, Superman.
Yeah,
He just he just
he's
gives
become
off those
synonymous
vibes.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And James Gunn is actually going to write and direct that Superman movie.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, which is dropping July 11th, 2025. So
In the
pretty
future.
soon. No. And then they're doing I think it's a film, The Authority. Um, Relatively unknown because I grew up with comic books with both Marvel and DC, but even I don't know a lot about The Authority. I think I read some comics where they popped up or like the name popped up,
Hmm.
but I don't know a lot about them. Um, and they are doing The Brave and the Bold movie, which is a new Batman in their own universe, so not the Batman, Matt Reeves, the Batman. And they're also casting someone new, so not Robert Pattinson. They're just going to be a new actor to play the Batman. And we're also going to see the my mind Damian Wayne. I'm sorry, I blanked on the name, which is Bruce Wayne's son.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but he has a son with the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, Talia Ghul,
Uh-uh. Yeah.
and yeah, he also became Robin. Um, and so this is gonna just follow him and his son. I don't know if he's gonna be Robin just yet. Um, exactly. And we don't have a director for that one, but that the one is also coming out.
Damn. That's wild.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting to have two Batmans at the same time
I do too. I'm trying to think if that's been done already, like any kind of coexisting IPs together.
in TV and movies. Yes, but I don't know if
But
movies.
in movie and movie, I don't think
Mm,
so. That'll
me
be
neither.
really interesting to see how that plays out.
Especially with like normal, like everyday people who don't know that
Hmm.
this is like a different universe. But I think they're just gonna put like an Elseworld title before other movies, so people know, okay, this is like set in a different universe.
Exactly.
So I think they can definitely make it work.
I
Um,
think the that Spider-Man into the multiverse, I think
mhm,
that like opened that up on like a very real level where we could explore that and
definitely,
other things and like be okay and accepting of that.
definitely. If done
Hmm.
right, I think they can pull it off.
For sure.
Then they're doing a Supergirl movie, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. We don't know a lot about them. It's based on a recent comic run by Tom King. So
Mm,
that's just about all we know, but no director or anything.
okay.
They're doing a new Swamp Thing movie, which I don't know if you've seen Swamp Thing or know
I
about Swamp
haven't.
Thing.
They did in like the 80s or something, right?
Yeah, I think it's the 80s, yeah. And they're doing a new one. It's probably gonna be like more into like the horror genre.
Interesting. And is that going to be a show or a movie?
It's a movie. It's a
Okay.
movie. And they also don't have a director, but I read somewhere, I don't know if it's like true, but I think James Mangold showed interest in
Hell yeah,
directing
from
it.
Logan,
Yes, and he's
right?
also doing Indiana Jones,
Oh,
the
that's
new
right.
one, which I'm really excited about. Um, but I don't know if it's just rumors, but I think I saw him like posting a picture of Swamp Thing soon after the announcements. So maybe he's doing that.
So Swamp Thing is like I understand he's a DC character, but is he a superhero or
He's like this how to explain it, like this mythical creature um who's there to protect the green, so like nature.
okay.
But he's not really a hero or villain, but he's a big character in the DC universe.
Okay. Is he like is he fighting against any of the same like villains or whatever that maybe Batman
Mm,
or Superman or whoever is coming across?
Sometimes if the green like nature is in danger, he
Okay.
definitely fights, but he's more like in his own little thing,
Okay.
more the mythical side of the DC universe. So he fights a lot of mythical creatures, but
Okay.
I think they have a bigger plan for everything. So he might pop into like a Justice League movie if they do one down the line, which they probably will. He might be like a part of it, not as a member of the Justice League, but he'll be important somehow in the bigger
Gotcha.
picture.
So, and they have a Swamp Thing TV show out right now.
Is it still out? I
I
know there was one, but
or from 2019. I guess it was
yeah,
one season only. Okay.
yeah, I think it was canceled, but I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Did you
Yeah,
see it?
I haven't. I haven't. But I heard it's pretty good, but
It looks
I might.
Swamp Thing. It seems interesting, but I'm not really well versed or all
Mhm.
that familiar.
I know the movie from the 80s or whatever when it came out. I think that one wasn't received well,
Okay.
but I'm excited for this new one. I think, especially if someone like James Mangold is involved, I think
It'll probably be done very
it
well.
could be really good. Then we have the Batman Part Two, which you already talked about. Then there's a couple of HBO Max shows, like Creature Commandos, which is stated as a show based on the 1980s comic team of military superhumans, including a vampire, werewolf, and Frankenstein's monster.
It's pretty cool.
So they're definitely like doing superheroes and monsters, like the Face title,
Yeah.
which will be interesting.
Yeah, that's
They're
sweet.
doing a spin-off series on Waller, Amanda Waller. You've seen Suicide Squad, right?
No. Uh-uh.
Oh, you haven't seen the Suicide Squad movies?
Uh-uh.
Okay, so she's basically like a character, Amanda Waller, who puts down Task Force X, which is the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Um, and I'm excited for that. Let's see. Then we have Paradise Lost, which is titled as a Game of Thrones inspired fantasy series set on Themyscira, which is where Wonder Woman comes from. So it's basically the Amazonians doing their thing before the birth of Wonder Woman. Then they're doing a Booster Gold show, which is, I love Booster Gold. He's one of my favorite DC characters. He's basically like this guy. He's from the future,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like this big loser in the future. So he steals tech and goes back in time and becomes this cool superhero with all this future stuff.
Uh,
He just wants to become popular, and he's a great character. I think he'll be very popular.
oh, cool. Yeah, that sounds neat.
Yeah. Then they're doing a Green Lantern series, Lanterns. And I don't know, have you seen True Detective?
I saw the first season of True Detective.
Okay. So they stated this as like a True Detective in space, basically. So
Nice.
you have the two Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and they'll be investigating crimes in the universe.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So that sounds very interesting, and I think that's it for the first couple announcements. Yeah. What do you
Nice. Well,
think?
that's,
Is there anything that you'd be interested in, or?
I mean, if there's any of those things that I will check out, it'll probably be
Mhm.
Swamp Thing. That sounds badass. I'm
Okay.
I'm just into like that kind of
Mhm.
stuff.
Yep.
So that seems like it would be
The
like up
more
my alley. I'll always
weirder
check
stuff.
out Batman. Batman is one
Mhm.
like superhero I will always check out.
Mhm.
I'll check out the new Joker movie, although I'm
Yep.
not like super excited, but I'm curious for sure. I'll still see it.
It's
Um,
supposed to be
a
rumors,
mus
a
a
musical.
musical,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Um, so yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited for those.
Mhm.
But Superman, I'm sorry, Superman, I will not be tapping in with you. Um, and but the rest of those sound really cool.
Mhm.
We're back, like we said, we're going to be talking about a movie in particular, one movie in particular each week. Um, and just to talk about it a little bit more in depth, kind of get into some spoilers and really talking about it. So, but before we did that, before we do that, I did mention to Dino beforehand that while we don't have a podcast name, I did have some ideas for some theme songs that
Mhm.
I'd like to play a couple now, and we'll see if either stick. If they don't, we'll come back with some new suggestions on the next ep. Um,
I'm
but
excited.
I did a few. So I put together a little soundboard,
Mhm.
which I realized I have not used
Hmm.
quite at all. I feel like I've kind of been wasting it.
But it's the
Um,
first episode. We're still figuring things out. So
exactly. So we're still figuring things out, but I got a couple here that I do want to play here. So here's the first one. This one actually sounds pretty cool, and
okay,
I think could be cool. Are you hearing it? Oh, let me start that over.
okay,
So a good little vibe there, goes on a little bit longer.
love it, love it.
I think that's a good option. But however, I did come across this one that I think really just I think encapsulates perhaps the ultimate vibe of going to the movies.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. I keep
Bitch, what's
this.
Cause I got something to tell you, bitch. What's that? Shut the fuck up while I'm watching the movie. And don't be trying to whisper, I can still hear you. That shit is annoying. Stay off your phone. Stay off your phone. Don't be talking. Don't talk, bitch. Just watch the movie. And shut the fuck up. Yes, what?
That's a great one.
We got options here, folks.
That should be played before every movie.
I agree. That should be what,
Mhm.
instead of Nicole Kidman popping up at the AMC, it should be that. That's playing. But the movie that we are going to talk about today is the new Damien Chazelle movie that dropped at the end of last year entitled Babylon.
Mhm.
I was able to check that out maybe about a month ago. I know, Dino, I know you just saw it somewhat recently, correct?
Yeah, just last week.
And what were kind of initial thoughts? What do you think? You like it? You hate it? Thought it was okay?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
You did like it a lot.
Yeah.
Now, in comparison, and I guess we can get into it towards the middle of the conversation itself, but in terms of Chazelle as a whole, do you have a favorite going into this movie? What was your favorite Chazelle movie?
That's a tough one because I love both Whiplash and La La Land. They're
Mm-hmm.
two of my favorite movies. And I
Mm-hmm.
also like First Man a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not on the same level as those
For
two.
sure. For sure.
It's really tough because I think both La La Land and Whiplash bring something very different to the table.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to choose, I think I would have to go with La La Land.
La La Land, yeah.
Yeah.
I
For
think
you?
the majority consensus would probably say I think I might go Whiplash, maybe.
Okay. I
Um,
completely understand.
yeah, I love that. I'm a drummer myself, so I really like that. But also, I am arguably the world's biggest Ryan Gosling stan. So I'm really kind of torn. But I think I like Whiplash as a movie, maybe a
Mhm.
little bit more going into Babylon. And now coming out of Babylon,
Mhm.
we can talk about that because Babylon might be
Been your
up there
favorite?
for me personally. It might be up
Okay.
there. It might
Okay.
be up there. So when you saw it, was the theater packed or was it pretty open when you went?
So just for general information to the viewers,
Hmm.
I live in Germany, so we didn't get Babylon until like 2 weeks ago, I think. Um, because you guys got it in December, right?
Yeah, like Christmas time.
Yeah. And we got it later, at least where I live. Um, and I went on a very weird time because we went on like I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday at like 5 p.m.,
Okay.
which generally there isn't anyone at the movies, at least in
Right.
my theater. But to our surprise, there were a lot of people, especially for that
Hmm.
time slot, which surprised me. But it was it was it wasn't full, but there were a good bunch of people.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, when I saw it, and I mean, I guess I saw it a couple. It came out in Christmas, but I don't think I saw it until January. Like I didn't see it until 2023.
Mhm.
But it was completely empty in the theater
Okay.
here. And it's funny because I don't know about over there, but for us beforehand, they had Margot Robbie and then the guy who plays what's his name? Diego Calva.
Mhm.
He
It
plays
was great.
Manny. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, him and Margot pop up on the screen and they're like, thank you for coming out to the theaters.
Mhm.
We love to see a packed theater just the way this was intended. and we kind of just looked around, and there was like 4 people, like including us
No.
there. I was like, well, I was like, at least we saw it on the big screen. It was intended. Definitely
Mhm.
not packed out,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed this movie. And for those
Mhm.
listening, I guess who are not familiar with Babylon, I think most people heard of it. Many people did
Mhm.
not see this movie.
Which
Um,
surprised me because I
yeah,
thought it would do well, especially with like Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt.
for sure. I
Uh,
think I think a lot of people are kind of like I think at least what some of the critics are saying is that I think they think that people are kind of over the whole like prestige picture thing, like coming from these
mhm.
studios, like these studios that will fund these more like artistic kind of um more forward thinking movies.
Mhm.
I think that maybe they've seen through enough of them, maybe that they're not into it. But
Mhm.
because other people are like, oh, maybe it bombed because of a surge in COVID. I don't think that's.
Mhm.
I mean, I think most people are pretty over that shit. But I don't. I don't know why. I really am kind of surprised. I think really the main thing might be the runtime. I think everyone's aware of how long the movie is.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a different story if it was, 100-minute movie as opposed to a 80-minute movie or
Mhm.
whatever.
I think the runtime and also like the marketing,
Hmm.
because I know like over here in Germany, we don't like the marketing isn't as well as over there, obviously.
Hmm.
But I saw a lot of like in my American friends just saying like they didn't even know the movie was coming out, um,
Interesting.
which I can't confirm, but that's a lot of things. That's something I heard a lot that just a lot of people didn't even know it was coming out, and the marketing wasn't that great.
Yeah,
So I
I
think
wonder. Yeah, I wonder if maybe. I think maybe like it was just harder for me because I'm like you and I were just kind of like tapped into like the movie thing. So
yep,
it's like obviously we knew this was coming out. Like it wasn't like a surprise. But I think
yep.
for the general public, maybe. But I felt like I was constantly seeing ads personally.
Okay.
I feel like they were constantly promoting it, but I don't know. I think it's just that whole, yeah, who knows? I mean, it's a variety
Mhm.
of things. I certainly don't think COVID is the reasoning that people weren't um,
Yeah. Yeah.
going out to see it. But I do think people might be over that kind of these like quote unquote like Oscar baity type of
Hmm.
movies. You know what I mean?
Could be it,
Um,
yeah.
which typically I'm against it. And to be honest, I didn't even go into Babylon expecting to like it very much. I kind
Hmm.
of went into it just like, all right, let's do this. I love, Margot Robbie, love Brad Pitt.
Hmm.
I knew Tobey Maguire was going to be in it. The
Yeah.
cast is unbelievably huge.
Hmm.
Um, I was super excited just to check out everyone who was in it. Um, and so many people were in it that I wasn't expecting to see like
Hmm.
prior either. But
Yeah.
but I was kind of like, let's just get out of the way with. And then once I sat down, I've said this to you at another time that this was like the
Mhm.
fastest moving 3 hours that
Yeah.
I think I'd sat through in movies. And everyone's like, oh, but it's like 3 hours and 10 minutes. It's like, well, technically, if we're including the credits, it's maybe like 3 hours something. But without the credits, it's really like 250 something. Like, so it's not.
Hmm.
It's still that's very long, but it's not like
Yeah.
everyone's like it's 3 hour, 3.5 hours. It's like, well, it's not 3.5. Like, let's relax here. It's not that
Hmm.
long. But it flew by, man. That movie really
Yeah,
flew by for me,
definitely.
at least. And I was just constant, like I was so interested in everything that was happening the entire
Hmm.
time.
Yeah. I also don't think like the runtime is like a big issue. I think it's an issue with certain movies. But you
Hmm.
look at something like Avengers Endgame or Avatar 2, The Batman, Dune,
Long as shit.
those are long. And like I think we noticed in the last few years, movies have gotten a little bit longer.
Hmm.
Just I feel like that's the case. And I think it's just with certain movies that people aren't interested in seeing a long movie,
Yeah,
which I
it
don't
really
blame them.
depends.
But yeah, I don't think it's like a stopping point for people per se. I think it's just the type of movie they don't want to see that much of.
For sure. I think regardless of runtime, you might be right. It
Yeah.
might have just been doomed.
Mhm.
But one thing I will say about this movie, which I guess we should maybe give like a little rundown of what this movie is is kind of about. And again, I think we said this before. I don't know if we were recording or not at that point. But we're definitely going to kind of jump into a few spoilers here and there. So if you have not seen Babylon, definitely go out and go see it. I don't know if you can still see it in theaters, at least in the States, but you can certainly probably rent it on demand somewhere. And if you are overseas, over in my boy Dino's neck of the woods, I believe you can go see this in
still check
theaters.
it out in a theater. Which
but,
you have, if you have the chance, go watch it in a theater.
For sure. It should be seen on the big screen.
100%.
Like all movies should, but especially something of this kind of scope, unless you got a real big TV or theater set up at home, you're really kind of not doing it justice. So anyway, this movie, it takes place in over the span of quite a few years, but it starts in 1926 in LA. We start off with the character Manny, who is he's handling an elephant that he's taking to a studio executive's home, and he takes it there, and there's going to be this huge party, and it's almost like an Eyes Wide Shut sort of thing, where everyone's just kind of having sex everywhere. There's orgies everywhere. Everyone's doing cocaine. Everyone's doing all sorts of drugs. They're dancing. They're having a good time, and it's there that this guy Manny, who we mentioned is played by Diego Calva, meets Nellie Leroy, who's played by Margot Robbie. She wants to make it as an actress, and pretty much the entire movie you're mainly following those two, as well as this African American jazz musician. I forget his name was Sidney something. Sidney Palmer. And it kind of follows the three of them, but it really mainly follows Nellie, who's played by Margot Robbie, Manny, who's played by Diego Calva, and then Brad Pitt's character, who also pops in at the party. Exactly, Jack Conrad, as a film star who's kind of on top of the game, but he's also kind of maybe dealing with some personal stuff, and it's kind of going through the movie. But all in all, it's kind of following these four characters, three mainly, as they kind of navigate through the end of the silent era of film into the beginning of the talkies in the 30s. But what did you think about kind of how they showed or depicted the silent era?
It was really, I think it was really like well shown.
Yeah.
I think you saw a lot of like things that were actually happening, and I just liked the depiction of it, and just the transition, seeing how everything shifted and how people dealt with that, like these actors and directors. I think that was such an interesting thing to see, because for example, I'm really young, so I haven't seen a lot of silent film. I've seen some, just seeing how they filmed those, and just what kind of shift there was to have like films with sound. That was really interesting to see, and I loved that aspect of the movie.
Yeah, it was really cool to kind of see that, and especially when you see the shift and it moves to like the sound, like the talkie era. That might have been one of my favorite parts, where they kept cutting. They had that really funny guy who was slating the films with the clapper. He's like, all right, scene 5, take 1, whatever. And the sound guy's just running amok up there, and any slight noise, it's going berserk. You got the camera guy in the soundproof box, because you got the sound of the camera who dies in the box, essentially. That whole sequence might have been one of my favorites of the movie. I thought it was so funny. It was so good. And it had that one guy who's in Wolf of Wall Street, who was playing I think he was like the assistant director or something. He was running back and forth in there. He's really funny. But I really love that. And it's cool that we're kind of getting these movies, because we sort of saw the same thing in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in that we kind of saw the end of the classic Hollywood era, and then the beginning of that new Hollywood era, where we sort of saw these traditional kind of Hollywood movie stars sort of not being big pulls anymore, and seeing them adjust with the new way of Hollywood. And that's something that we see with Jack Conrad, which is Brad Pitt's character. We see how he's having a hard time adjusting to the talkies, and
Yeah.
it's something that is harder to do than maybe you would think, coming from a medium that was completely silent before,
Mhm.
And plus, we get
Definitely.
Brad Pitt in both of those movies, which I think was a cool
And
coincidence.
Margot Robbie as well.
And Margot Robbie,
Yeah.
that's right. Forgot about that.
Mhm.
So that was cool. I saw a lot of connections to Babylon, and I have a couple, but I'm curious to know what are like three movies that you think, like when you think of Babylon, you think like it's kind of a mix of these three kind of movies, because I
So
feel like there's enough
yeah,
going on that you could name three probably.
yeah. So one is definitely Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of that. The Great Gatsby,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, probably I think it has a little bit of Wolf of Wall Street madness to it.
Definitely.
So I think I'd put those three, but I feel like something else. But so which one do you connect to
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Two of them you did name.
Mhm,
Wolf of Wall Street, and for sure,
mhm,
um, is one that like it's just like, and then one that we just mentioned prior, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's so much of
mhm,
that with Brad, with Margot, kind of the idea of a shifting new look at Hollywood and how these people are dealing with it. But
mhm,
another movie that it very much reminded me of, sort of in a way, there was some Eyes Wide Shut-ish stuff
mhm.
with that, but
Definitely.
one thing that really was present, I thought, was kind of Boogie Nights. There was a lot
Oh,
of Boogie Nights in there, and
yeah.
especially you've seen Boogie Nights, right?
I have, yes.
Especially the scene with Tobey Maguire in this movie, that was straight
Mm,
out of Boogie Nights when they see Alfred
you're
Molina
right.
with the
You're right.
fireworks. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
and it's very cool and very funny, the connection, how we had Doc Ock as that
Mhm.
person in Boogie Nights, and now we have Spider-Man
Spider-Man.
in this
Exactly. Yeah.
as that
I
same character.
I didn't even make the connection, but as soon as you said, like, I remembered that scene,
Yeah.
I was like
Another
so.
another favorite scene of mine from the movie. That was
That
so
was great.
good. I love Toby. Anything that he's in, I will go see. And another connection with Great Gatsby,
Mhm.
with him in
Yeah.
that as well,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, when I saw that one scene, I was just like, oh, this is 100%. He clearly is like, this is a
Mhm.
nod to Boogie Nights. I'm like, there's no way
As soon
that
as
this
you
was
said
not
it,
a,
it just clicked.
yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to pass off the fake the fake prop money,
Mhm.
for that deal. I really, man, I really like this movie, but I think
Mhm.
those are kind of the three main ones, but there's a ton that you could
Definitely.
throw in. Great Gatsby,
Yeah.
Eyes Wide Shut to an extent.
Mhm.
Um,
Definitely.
I'm sure there's some others, but those are, I think, some of the main ones that really just kind of
Mhm.
stand out.
Yeah. Because I remember like seeing that first party scene, and I just instantly thought of The Great Gatsby.
Hmm.
It's just the whole vibe, and
The
we
whole
have to talk
decadence.
about the music. Like, it
Oh
was
yeah, what
incredible,
one of my favorite
incredible.
scores of last year,
Yeah.
for sure, for
Same
sure.
here.
Um, which his name is what? Justin Hertzman? What's the
Hurwitz, I think.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is. He's really unbelievable, and I
Hmm.
think that him and Chazelle have like a great like working
Yeah.
relationship. And I don't really remember the score of First Man all too
Hmm.
much, but
Same.
obviously the music in Whiplash and La La Land is
Yeah.
so prominent and important. And it's the same thing with this movie. Like, I think the music really carries this movie as well.
Hmm.
Um, and I believe he got nominated for an Oscar for the score, I
I
believe.
think so. I think so.
Yeah. So
I
good
think it
for
also
him.
helps with Damien Chazelle coming from a music background.
Definitely.
I think that helps a lot, and I think just working with him, you can see like when you watch the movie, like you can see he puts a lot of focus on the music,
For sure.
and
For sure.
it's so great to see.
Did you have a favorite, of all like the major, all the people in the cast? Did you have a favorite character from this
Jack
movie?
Conrad, Jack
Yeah.
Conrad, Brad Pitt, he was my favorite character. I liked Manny, for most part of the movie.
I liked him too.
He was really likable in the beginning, and obviously just that was the intention, to have him go down a certain route, which I think he was still likable, but just a little questionable. But Jack Conrad, he was just seeing Brad Pitt, it was a joy every time he was on screen. I just had such a great time. The scenes where he was, especially in the beginning, where he pulls up with his wife to the party, and she's trying to talk to him because they're at the brink of like a divorce, and he just speaks Italian, and she's just like mad at him, like, just talk to me, and he's just speaking Italian. Was so funny. Just because that's my type of humor. Like, I also like just trying to imitate different languages, and just as for fun. So I like that a lot, and just his whole arc, seeing that was just my favorite, and I loved it.
Yeah,
who was your favorite character?
He for sure. It's Jack Conrad. It's Brad Pitt. He's pretty much any movie that he's in, it's almost a guarantee that he's kind of my favorite character, even if it's big or small. Even something like A True Romance, where he's just sitting on the couch, in a couple scenes, he's still so funny and so good. But yeah, he for sure was awesome. But I also love like the side characters, like to show love to Toby, obviously, who plays this I guess crime drug lord in LA. That was super funny, and he killed that. And I really liked Lucas Haas, who played like the producer who was always like super depressed whenever a girl didn't like him back.
He was great. That was such a funny joke.
He's so good. Did you ever see, it was a movie I thought of earlier when you mentioned Ransom. Did you ever see the movie Witness with your boy Harrison Ford?
Oh, I haven't.
It came out in the 80s, and Lucas Haas, that guy, he plays this like 10-year-old boy. He's 10 years old at the time, like this Amish kid who witnesses a murder, and Harrison Ford is like an undercover agent or a cop or something who's assigned to protect him because the kid is in witness protection.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it yet.
But, I highly recommend, especially after seeing this. I kind of want to revisit it to just see the difference in Lucas Haas, but he's so good. He's got the same ears still. But I really like that character a lot. And you had Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers in there. You had Eric Roberts as Margot Robbie's dad.
He was also great.
He was so good. Jeff Garland was in there. Ethan Suplee, a lot of cool people. Olivia Wilde is Jack Conrad's first wife in the beginning of the movie for a couple minutes. So there was a lot going on, but in terms of the plot, just to kind of move it forward a little bit, once the talkies start, you see that some of them are adjusting kind of differently. Jack Conrad kind of realizes that his popularity is sort of has gone down since the talkies, and he's kind of doing some like low budget, less meaningful stuff. But Nelly, on the other hand, Margot Robbie, she kind of pops off, I guess. She kind of becomes this big star, and kind of takes on an opposite route as Jack Conrad. Manny also has kind of broken his way into the studio system there as well. But you see some other people kind of move on. The Lucas Haas character that I mentioned earlier, I think again, the final nail in the coffin was that, again, some woman he was super in love with didn't love him back, so he killed himself. There was that, I forget, I gotta pull up her name, the Asian woman who she played like the title, she was like the title card girl, I think, at the studio. Lady Faye. Was her name in the movie. Played by Lee Jun Lee. She was there working as I guess she was doing the title cards for The Silence, correct?
Yep, exactly. Okay.
And she ends up getting fired. I think Manny ends up firing her. And she ends up going to Europe. I think she was going to France or something. I can't quite recall.
Because she was having like a little thing with Margot Robbie's character.
Exactly. So
And
they're
they
like, we can't
tried to
be.
get her image back. So I think that was ultimately the reason why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so they fire her, and they're trying to, especially Manny, he's kind of manning, no pun intended, kind of manning things to get Nellie back, kind of getting her stuff together. But
Yeah.
she causes a scene at this party. She vomits like all over these like socialites, and she's just acting like a complete fool. And we see that kind of as the film goes on. Obviously, the movie's very long, so a lot kind of goes on. Nellie's fallen a lot in debt. And the scene that we mentioned earlier with Tobey Maguire being the person who the money's owed to. Manny heads up there with I think someone else from the studio, or I forget who he goes up.
The drug dealer who was like giving people drugs on set.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So they go to pay it off, and turns out that the money is counterfeit, which Manny was unaware of, that they used the fake prop money.
Yeah.
So once Toby figures that out, they kind of go running, and they narrowly make it out there. But as the movie kind of winds down, we see that Jack Conrad, who sees Faye one last time before she leaves for Europe, he sees kind of his career is sort of gone. He can't really adjust as well, and he ends up killing himself in his hotel room. And then later, as the film goes, there's a whole montage that shows that Nellie has passed away. I believe it was of like a drug overdose, or I don't know if it's even stated. But you see that all these people have kind of passed on. And then at the end of the film, I believe it's like the 1950s, and Manny returns to Los Angeles. He had essentially kind of been exiled. He had fled to New York City after some shit went down in LA, particularly with what went down with the drug dealers. And he now lives in New York City, and he comes back and visits the studio with his wife and his young daughter. In the film kind of ends there. There's an insane montage. If you want to tell them a little bit about that crazy ass montage at the end of the movie for like 5 minutes.
It's so crazy, and you have to see it on a big screen. I think that's like one of the things that you have to see on a big screen. And it's also funny because you can literally post a screenshot from Avatar, and it's from Babylon. Like you can just say it's from Babylon because there's a scene with like different kinds of movies. Just to go through that whole era of movies, just show where movies came from and where they are now, basically. And that scene was incredible. It was so good. I was just smiling the whole time. As a movie fan, like that scene is just so good.
I kind of can't believe that they did that. Like that's sort of insane that they really kept that in there, and included stuff like Avatar, like newer kind of stuff. And I don't know which Avatar that was from, if it was from the new one unreleased, or it was from the original.
There's also Terminator
2001 Space Odyssey, the Great Train Robbery, and like some of the early like stuff like that, like all throughout history. You just got all this, all these like iconic movies thrown in there, and that was super cool. Did you like the ending, or did you think maybe they could have ended it a little bit earlier? Was there anything else that you wanted to see that you didn't get to see?
So just to explain it, the movie started, and the first party scene was a bit too much for me because I'm not a big fan of those scenes. So it was just like I didn't know if I'm gonna like this movie. And then it just went on, and I loved it. The only thing, the where they go to that underground with Tobey Maguire's character, it was very weird. So
very weird.
It's supposed to make you uncomfortable, and it
surely did.
So that's a thing that I think was very out there. I think a lot of people, like, you're either gonna like it a lot or not like it, and it's gonna make you uncomfortable. But apart from those scenes, I think I really loved the movie, and I think it ended perfectly for me.
I really enjoyed it as well. I think almost a part of me like there was something with kind of the end with Manny returning that was sort of like bittersweet, I guess, and then you have that
Mhm.
montage. But a part of me kind of also thought like once you see like you kind of peek into the room and Jack Conrad kind of kills himself, a part of me
Mhm.
inside was kind of like, okay, end it here, like end it
Yeah.
after this. I'm like, I feel like
Mhm.
we've come to it, like end it here. But then it kept
Mhm.
going for like almost half an hour, like
Yeah.
additional. So like even then, like maybe ending it, like having that and then going into the um like the news clippings where it shows like Margot Robbie's like death being announced, which was really
Yeah.
effective, kind of showing it all the way down like in this small little corner of the paper.
Yeah.
When she used to be like a front page, big letter type of name.
Definitely.
So that was really neat. But I think kind of ending it there, like I didn't really feel like I needed to see Manny come back all those years later.
Mhm.
But I guess we get that cool montage out of it, so I'm here for it, I
That's
guess.
that's why I love it.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of final thoughts on Babylon? What would you kind of rate it 1 to 10? Would you recommend it, and where does it fall in
Mhm.
your Chazelle rankings currently?
Okay, so some people might notice, some people don't. I don't rate movies. Like I don't give
Hmm.
them numbers. I'm just it's tough for me to do that, and
Good. Okay. I kind of like that
um
better.
yeah, but I think I'll give it like I can do like a number. I think around an 8, maybe
Hmm.
like 8.5.
Hmm.
So I definitely liked it a lot. I think just like to summarize the movie, it was really Damien Chazelle's. It was like a love letter to movies, but a hate
Hmm.
letter to Hollywood.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
way
what
to put it.
that's just summarized the movie, and I really liked how they showed how like actors were like openly weird and like celebrating and doing all these crazy things and being celebrated for it. And then as
Yeah,
time went on, they started to act more classy and just be more formal and things like that. But there's still like this dark underside what they do in reality with that weird dungeon underground thing.
for sure.
Um, so I think definitely that. And yeah, all in all, I think it still falls under La La Land and Whiplash for me. But I think definitely above First Man, which I
Hmm.
really like. But I think that's like where it falls for me. So not on that level as Whiplash and La La Land, but still very, very good.
And then also, this just popped into my head too.
Mhm.
For Margot and Brad Pitt, in
Yeah.
between what two movies? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, so if you need a couple moments to think about it, I can go and then we
Mhm.
can come back. Where are you
Yeah.
placing it? In between what two movies of Brad Pitt's and what two movies of Margot's are you placing this performance? Maybe not the movie, but this performance, this character.
Mhm. Mm, let me think. Let me just pull up their filmography.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll go ahead and,
Just
and just my overall thoughts of Babylon while you think of that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, like I said, I think that this was my favorite movie of the year, and I think a lot of it is because I didn't expect it to be. It really
Mhm.
kind of blew me away. Um, and I really, really, really loved this movie
Mhm.
a lot. And I think it might be my number one Damien Chazelle personally.
Okay.
I really like Whiplash and I really like La La Land, but this just really like it was
Mhm.
so expansive, and this is only off one viewing. The other films, I think, well, actually, La La Land I've only seen once, but Whiplash I've
Okay.
seen a handful of times.
Mhm.
But maybe it'll change on reviewings. Maybe I won't get as much, but I think that there's so much in this that I can only like it more with each viewing. Um, and especially in a year that I thought was just okay. I didn't think
Mhm.
2021 or 2022 was like incredible, at least compared to like the previous maybe 2 or 3 years. It was still very
Mhm.
good, but it wasn't like everything was kind of knocking out of the park for me. So in a year where I was kind of like, there was some really good stuff, but all in all, I'm just kind of passive. This movie really kind of took the cake, and
Mhm.
yeah, I'll give this piece a 10 out of 10 for sure.
Nice.
I
And that
really liked it a
actually
lot. So
makes me like it more. Just to hear how much you like it. It always
yeah,
like sparks something in me, like just seeing or like hearing other people talk about a movie very highly.
for
It
sure.
just gives me more joy just to know that other people like it so much.
Just to
So
see the overall excitement is really cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
And especially because we talked about it beforehand.
Yeah.
Before I saw the movie and just talked a little bit about it, and I just saw how excited you are, and that
Yeah.
definitely like enhanced my experience just knowing how much you like it. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
mhm. And so to your previous question, where I would put it, I think Seven is still my favorite Brad Pitt movie and performance. I
Yeah.
just love that movie. And I think Inglorious Bastards would be second, which there was also a funny connection with him doing like the Italian accent in that one, and
Yeah,
also
that's right.
Babylon.
Speaking Italian, yeah.
That was a nice nod. And I think I would put his performance in Babylon right there, like in spot 3 for me
Yeah.
personally.
I think I'm looking at it too. I think I would probably put this in between the two Tarantinos. I think I like Inglorious Bastards as a character a little bit more, but I think I would take this over what's his name? Cliff Booth, right? From Once Upon a Time.
Mm-hmm. And as far as Margot Robbie, I think I, Tonya is still her best performance.
I still have not seen that.
Have you not?
I
It's
have
really
not.
good. I
I
highly
gotta check it
recommend
out.
it. It's a really great movie. And then I put her performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably, oh no, I think Babylon more than Wolf of Wall Street, just because she gets to do so much
A
more
lot more for
Babylon.
sure.
But I also really like her Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
I think she kills that role. So probably around Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Wolf of Wall Street, somewhere in spot
In
3
that
or 4.
range.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would I'm on Letterboxd now. I
Mhm.
think I'm glad you said that about Wolf of Wall Street, because that's like kind of the immediate number one, I think, because it was just kind of the
Mhm.
introduction to Margot Robbie. But she
Yeah.
really doesn't have as much to work with. She's kind of just a super hot Long Island,
Yeah.
New York girl. So, but she has a lot more to work with here. But I think I might take this over the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
Okay.
character of Sharon Tate. I think she even has a little bit more to do here, and it feels a little bit more like she's a little bit more lived in, maybe. I don't know,
Mhm.
but I think I might put this above Once Upon a Time. This might be one of my favorite performances of her, to be honest.
Okay.
I have not seen I, Tonya yet,
Mhm.
so that could very well change. And I know me and all my boys are ready to give Barbie the number one spot later this year. So
Definitely.
so I'll go ahead and leave that number one spot open for that.
Mhm. It's
But
reserved.
and until then, I'm loving this movie as one of
Mhm.
my favorites for sure
Nice.
of hers.
Mhm.
Was there any final thoughts or anything else that you wanted to say about Babylon before we
Mm,
conclude?
I pretty much said everything. Like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. I think if you like movies, like just movies in general, not just watching movies, but also like everything behind it, I think you'll like it a lot.
Hmm.
Definitely go see it on the biggest screen. You probably already have if you're listening to this. Um, but yeah, just it's a great homage and just a great love letter to movies.
100%. And it's getting a lot of hate. That's one thing we didn't mention. It's getting a lot of hate.
True,
And
yeah.
I don't quite really understand it. Everyone that I've heard who's kind of um like objected against the film in some way, they've all just kind
Mhm.
of have said the same thing, like it's so long or this or that. It's just like, well,
Mhm.
you're not really giving like a real reason other than
Yep.
it's long or over the top. Like I just don't quite get why people don't like the movie,
Mhm.
um but I thought it was really good personally, and yeah, I think everyone should go out and check out Babylon.
Definitely. Definitely.
Cool. So,
Mhm.
so what we're doing here on the show is whenever for each week, Dino and I have each put up a list of 20 movies that
Mhm.
we're going to randomly go through over the course of the pod. And each week we're going to alternate between choosing one. A few days ago, we flipped a coin and came up heads. And so I will be picking the first official, I guess, movie that we'll be watching together. This we kind of just picked as the first one, first go around. It's a movie we've both seen recently. So I'll be picking, this will be from my 20 list of, or my list of 20 movies here. Let me pull it up, and I'm going to do a random movie generator here for my list and see what
Should we
pops
maybe
up.
just go through the movies, just like name them all for just the listeners to, or do you want to keep them a secret?
I kind of want to keep them a surprise, so that way it's like, who knows what to expect next week. And then every time that we pick one, we're going to secretly add in a new one into that 20th spot. So it'll always kind of be changing. And, but yeah, I think it would be cool to kind of keep it as a surprise, maybe for the listeners to think, you know, what we have. And that way we can always go through with each week and sort of, hey, maybe if we want to take out 5 and put in a new 5, we can always just do that, you know? So let's go ahead.
I think it's also a great way for the listeners if they want to participate. So whichever movie we end up, or the generator ends up choosing, they can also watch. And then next time we do the podcast, they can just listen
along, get a new movie rec each week.
Yeah.
A new random movie rec.
Exactly.
Nothing better. All right. So let's go ahead. I have my my recs numbered 1 through 20. I don't know if they're in any order. I think maybe alphabetical. I don't know if I put any order or not, but let's throw on this generator. Let's see what we're working with. Number 20. Let's see what number 20 is on this list.
Okay.
Oh, one of my all-time. Oh, sweet. Okay, well, we're gonna start off a little pretentious here, but this is one of the all-time great movies, and one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, and that is Francois Truffaut's movie, The 400 Blows, from 1959. Have you seen this movie? Are you familiar with this movie? Do you know anything about it?
I don't know anything.
Okay, wonderful. This movie is one of my favorites, and not to gas it up too much, but it's one of those movies that I always looked at as like, I think this is like one of those, like, this might be like a perfect movie. In that, of course, there are little flaws in the shooting of it, but it's everything about it is so magical. It's a great movie. I can't wait for you to watch it. And for those who are listening in the States, this should be available on the Criterion channel for streaming in the States. Dino, if you want to pull up maybe where in your area it might be streaming, but if you don't have the Criterion channel, I believe the 400 Blows is also, you could also get on Prime Video to rent, or iTunes to rent, or any of those usual spots where you might go to rent things digitally.
So it seems like it's not really available anywhere. It's available to buy on Amazon. But as far as renting, doesn't seem like anyway. I have to look up if the Criterion channel is available here. Okay. But I think it might be.
If not, at least for purposes of discussion, we'll get you a copy somehow. We will get it to you, so you'll see it at least.
We'll find a way.
We'll VPN it somehow.
Yeah. Okay, I'm excited. I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling this is going to be a movie that you are going to very much enjoy. I think.
Okay.
I think just from knowing you and kind of your movie taste, I think that this might be an old classic that you might really get down with. And yeah, for all those listening, thanks for checking out this episode. The first episode, us kind of figuring things out. Things will get smoother as we go along. But thanks for listening. Thanks for checking it out. Dino, any last words before we go?
Well, we don't have a name yet, so we're going to figure that one out.
We'll have one soon.
Exactly. But thank you guys just for listening. I hope this was interesting. Hope it was a good first episode, and I'm excited to record more with you. So
absolutely. So am I. And to lead us out, thank you for listening. Here are our favorite ladies to sing us out.
I got something to tell you, bitch. What's that? Shut the fuck up while I'm watching the movie. And don't be trying to whisper, I can still hear you. That shit is annoying. Stay off your phone.
Stay off your phone.
Don't be talking.
Don't talk, bitch.
Just watch the movie and shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Where
That's
did
right.
you find that clip? It's
Well,
great.
I have, yeah, I don't even know. I was just clicking on random stuff and
Okay.
found that. That was great.
That's great.
One last one.
Unlimited. Yeah.
There we go. Unlimited.
There he is.